Peggy 18.
He was there from the beginning. A power that exists at the end of all things. He walked with our gods and shaped our deepest beliefs. An executioner at the gallows. A lone hunter on a pale horse. A soldier on the battlefield. A criminal in the shadows. Fields become burial grounds in his wake. Every great atrocity, every feeble passing, he stands witness. In our strife, in our revolutions, and in our wars, he has left his mark. And in the end, his will be the last face you see. The end of the world began with a lie. But there is one who knows the truth. A warrior that destroys civilizations. A rider that can avenge the fallen. One who will remind the guilty. What starts with war ends with death.
Before the eyes of God, we have been judged, and we have been found guilty. Death awaits us all, just as Revelations proclaimed it would.
And I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw and beheld a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
Darksiders II. Pre-order at GameStop to receive the Death Rides pack.
Peggy 18.
Before time was born, a bright kingdom was created for the angels, a dark realm for the demons, and a world for mankind. But war, rider of the apocalypse, destroyed the earth before its appointed hour. Or so it was claimed. To spare his brother from oblivion, the second horseman rode forth. And his name was Death. I see you, rider of death. You offer so little.
I have an offer in mind.
Is he the end of man, or the beginning?
We chose Death to be the character in Darksiders 2 because War really set the stage for the Darksiders universe and introducing new elements, and we felt bringing in a new horseman with a totally new playstyle, different personality would be really cool, and Death is probably the most well-known of the four horsemen, so we thought he should get his shot.
What makes Death different from War is almost everything about him. The way he expresses himself, the way he talks,
I have an offer in mind.
the way he handles business on the battlefield, and the way that he gets around. It's much more feral, more animal-like.
War is very much like a force meets force, a very head-on, steadfast, loyal-bound soldier. Death is much more of a calculated, elegant fighter, a chilling opponent on the battlefield.
His traversal has definitely improved. It's a lot faster, more responsive, and so is his combat. His weapon is more interesting. He can dual wield or wield a single heavy weapon, depending on your playstyle.
Death's primary weapon is a scythe. It's kind of a unique one. It's sort of a multi-purpose Swiss Army scythe. He can use it with two different blades. He can attach it together to form the more traditional Reaper scythe. He can use it as a polearm. Of course, he doesn't stop at that. He'll pretty much use any weapon that's made available. You can get big axes, you can get crazy cool claws, big iron fists, and he'll even shoot guns. I mean, he'll use anything that he can, really. The main improvement from Darksiders 1 to Darksiders 2 was depth. We wanted to make the game more involved. We wanted to have more context. We wanted the player to really feel like they're in a real world with people living there, stuff going on, things going on.
We give them more items to tailor their own character, more characters to speak to, so we've got a lot more immersion on the story side of the game.
The first game, most of it took place on Earth, so now we were totally free to create all these new areas. We have angelic fortresses, demon cities, the city of the dead. It got our team super excited. On top of that, there's a lot of weapons and armor, and obviously the new character as well, Death.
Death's the most feared, and he's one of the oldest horsemen in the fiction. They kind of look at him as a big brother. He's feared just because when he really gets down to business, he is the death dealer. That's sort of his thing. He wears his mask as an executioner's mask. That's his trade, that's his business. He takes people down.
He doesn't wait for things to happen, he causes them to happen. So it's a much more aggressive style of game and a more aggressive character.
I mean, I guess it's all wrapped up in his name, right? War implies some conflict, but death's the final end. Who doesn't fear that?
A few words describe Death: cold and calculated.
Agile, both in the way he fights and the way he deals with situations.
My favorite word to describe death is definitely arrogant.
He's an opportunist.
If I could describe Death in one word, it'd probably be badass.
is no more. A casualty of the eternal war between angels and demons. But in the realms where those beings dwell, man still has one last hope. The most feared of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Only death can account for the sins of the past and undo mankind's extinction. But at what price?
Sometimes the hero dies. Then so be it.
Darksiders II. Pre-order it now to get the limited edition.
There are worlds beyond heaven and hell. I travel these realms as one of the four horsemen. A reaper of souls. An ender of worlds. A slayer of kin. My brother, War, stands falsely accused of unleashing Armageddon upon the human race. His fate concerns me. Yours does not. All who live know my name. All who oppose me shall know death.
Darksiders II. Pre-order it now to get the limited edition.
I think one of the biggest challenges in any new fiction is that it's a blank slate. You can do anything. At first that sounds cool, like, hey, you can do anything, but then you realize, wow, I can do anything. And you gotta give yourself rules, you gotta come up with something that makes sense, stuff has to be together, fiction has to not contradict itself. Suddenly you realize that that blank slate's a lot more work than it initially seems it'll be. Darksiders World was created pretty collaboratively. We all threw in ideas. You can't really pinpoint one originator of everything. As far as how the world plays, all the NPCs, all the different factions and fiction and stuff like that, that was kind of collaboratively made throughout the team.
The story of Darksiders is pretty deep, and we haven't actually fully revealed why the apocalypse happened. In a nutshell, you learned that there are forces between heaven and hell that are vying for control of Earth and certain other resources that lie somewhere between the two realms. And the horsemen are caught up in the middle because they are ultimately the ones who are responsible for beginning and ending worlds.
In the first Darksiders, One of the horsemen, War, gets framed for destroying Earth. There's a conspiracy between heaven and hell. He sort of takes the blame, mankind's wiped out, and then he is stripped of his powers and imprisoned for 100 years. Then he's given a chance to come back and prove his innocence, and he's got to pretty much kill everyone involved.
The first game ended in very epic fashion. It was one of the things that players really seemed like the most was that moment when War says, "No, not alone," and you see the broken seal and the comets coming in behind him.
Darksiders 2 takes place pretty much in parallel to the first game. In the time that War is imprisoned by the Council, it kind of happens in that 100 years. The Death's kind of own challenge kind of kicks off in that sort of time.
Because there's such a conspiracy and we don't know who all the players are, Death doesn't have any chance of proving his brother's innocence. He knows it'll just be covered up, so he just decides to undo the crime.
I think the thing that Death finds through this whole trip is redemption. I mean, he's carrying a big weight on his shoulders all the way through the game, and you know, it's kind of revealed to the player what sort of weight that he's actually carrying with him, both physically and mentally.
The hardest part was getting it to the point where we knew we were making something special, but once we got there, we were off to the races. We knew it was going to be good.
Beyond Earth. Beyond hell. Death is our final salvation. Darksiders II.
Hi, I'm Ben Curitan, lead combat designer on Darksiders II, and here are some tips to help you on your journey. Some Wrath moves have tremendous AoE potential and can easily create breathing room. The Buckler has the unique ability to block incoming attacks and cancel most of your moves. Remember to death grip enemies off their feet to temporarily stop them from attacking. Pay attention to boss tells to avoid big damage and open up attack opportunities. Don't be afraid to let your minions do your work for you. Heavy weapons. Crush everything. Single out smaller enemies, and they pose no threat. Separate and conquer. Use these tips and create your own strategy, and maybe we'll see you on the leaderboards.
Rated M for mature.
So, the Chad Council sends only one horseman, even to the past. No, this visit is unsanctioned. In fact, no one knows you're here. Yes, you have overcome many obstacles to stand here before me. But sometimes the hero dies in the end. Ask your brother. Succeed after all. Either way, it will be quite a show.
It is quite simple, and yet most difficult. You may tap the power of the well to return the kingdom of man.
My brother War. I would protect him above all.
All will become clear to you once you reach the tree and go wherever it takes you.
What is your function?
I am death.
We both know that isn't true.
PlayStation